on the assumption that this seasonality is the new normal for pawnbroking, it means all three of our primary revenue generating product lines, pawnbroking, FX, and retail, are all seasonally skewed to the second half of the calendar year, which is the reason we made the decision to change the year end to September, which should even those revenue flows up a bit across the two halves of the year. It seems the right thing to do.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by H&T Group CEO, Chris Gillespie. Chris, very good to speak with you. You're out with your interim results today, and it looks like that the first half of the year was pretty good for the company right across the board.
Yeah, good morning. Good to speak to you. Yes, really pleased with the progress that we've made, actually. So we've seen strong growth in our retail business, both in volume terms. We've sold about 17% more jewellery and watches this year, and that equates to 27% increase in the revenue earned from it at slightly better margins. So pleased with the progress there, pleased with the progress in foreign currency. It took us longer than we thought it would to get traction with it, but it's growing well now. We've gained a bit of market share and 14% growth in lending demand. So in terms of progress, I think we've done really well in the first half of the year. The one thing that we didn't anticipate was the degree of propensity of customers to repay their loans early, which happened for the first time last year, but it was bigger this year. It went on for longer. And this is customers who would have repaid their loan anyway, choosing to repay it a lot earlier. And I don't think we're unique in that. Some of the credit card businesses said that they saw card balances drop a bit in the spring, and one or two of the mortgage businesses have said similar things with people redeeming their mortgages earlier. But it was more than we anticipated, and I think a degree of seasonality in what is now a much bigger pawnbroking business appears to be the new normal and will be our planning assumption going forward. But really pleased with the progress.
Chris, any reason for these early redemptions?
I think there's a range of factors. I think some people are feeling a bit better off than they were, and I think that is probably reflected in the strength of the retail performance. I think there's also an element of people prioritising where they spend. They want value for money, but where they spend that disposable income that they have, because it doesn't seem to be across the board. So I think there's a number of factors. Obviously, our pawnbroking business is a lot bigger than it was historically, and therefore there's a lot more people using the service who are perhaps new to it and perhaps using it differently. Taking a long-term view, it's good because this is people using the product as it's intended. You borrow generally a small sum for a short term. So it's using the product as it's intended and in a sustainable way. But certainly it's the reason that the pledge book didn't grow in the first 6 months of the year organically, although it is growing now. I think there's a range of factors. And on the other side of that one, of course, lending demand was up 14%. So you've got people that need money as much as you've got people that seem to be a little bit better off. So it's a mixture of the two, I think.
I mean, looking at the financial metrics for the period, Chris, they look pretty strong. Profit before tax at 9.9 million, so that's up from 8.8. Your pledge book at 105 million, up from 101 million at the end of December. And your balance sheet's also looking quite strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've got funding in place to enable us to grow the business more. So our priority is to invest in growing the core pawnbroking business. It is growing again now, as redemptions seem to have sort of normalised. The book's currently about 108 million. And investing in our store estate, both new and existing, and in our IT infrastructure. So, our plan is to keep moving the business forward and keep driving that growth.
Will you be looking at other acquisitions, Chris, following the Maxcroft acquisition back in February?
Maybe if the right one comes along, but Maxcroft's probably unique in terms of its size and scale. We have a list of target locations where we would like a store. If a business that's already there wants to sell their business and the economics are right and the location is right, then we would consider it. But our plans are more organic than acquisition.
I mean, so you mentioned those three arms of the business. Foreign currency profits, that was up by 10%. Jewellery doing very well due to demand for second-hand jewellery and obviously the pawnbroking business. Do you expect all three to continue that strong contribution through the second half?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it's difficult to tell. We haven't yet gone through the peak foreign currency period. For us, the biggest months for foreign currency are actually September and to a lesser extent October. And Christmas still seems to me anyway to be a long way off. But I think we've set the business up as best we can to keep that momentum going in the second half of the year. The one thing I would say, though, is on the assumption that this seasonality is the new normal for pawnbroking, it means all three of our primary revenue generating product lines, pawnbroking, FX, and retail, are all seasonally skewed to the second half of the calendar year, which is the reason we made the decision to change the year end to September, which should even those revenue flows up a bit across the two halves of the year. It seems the right thing to do.
And this will take effect from your 2025 financial year. Is that correct, Chris?
Yes. So we'll yes. So we're effectively giving the market notice of our intention to do it. So we will continue this year. We will report for the 12 months to December, and then we will change to September from the 2025 financial year, and we will publish comparatives so people can compare performance year to year.
Well, Chris, I hope you'll keep us updated on any other progress. Thank you very much for speaking with us today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
That's H&T Group CEO Chris Gillespie.